lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get
He missed the complete. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Neagle.
Not far away on a rugged section of the California coast, a lone cypress clings to a barren rock and struggles to survive. All the while, we float high above Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, which today plays host to a different kind of struggle. That's right, Formula Neagle, sanctioned by the Absolute Beginners, is back, and all the Skippy Season 11 debut action from Green Flag to Victory Donut can be seen live as it happens here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. From the Golden State, welcome to GSRC's Countdown to Green. I'm Bill Soupzon. Joining me in the booth, as always, is Adam Forever Young. Turning the knobs and pushing the sliders is our director, Amjad Yaman, and Dougie Beard is our camera guru. If you brought cyberspace into your place, then over the next 15 streamy award-worthy minutes, GSRC will bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you'll need to fully appreciate the 70 minutes of Skip Barber simulated racing that will immediately follow. Now, Errol Num started Season 10 with a 53rd place finish at Watkins Glen. The Rolling Estonian rebounded, though, with wins in Round 2 and 3 at Imola and Mosport. But it was seconds and thirds only the rest of the way. For Tuan Tran, in the Watkins Glen race, where the Bush Fink Pink rival finished 53rd, Tran was the winner. The Mama Jean Racing driver also won Round 7 at Spa. But in the season finale, with the championship there for the taking, an internet connection issue handed the crown to Num, and Tran had to settle for second. It was that Le Mans season finale where David Third Degree Burns picked up his first career win on his 40th try. The DBR Two Stupid Dogs driver came in third in the points. On occasion, Pierce Shortfield Cocky lived up to his nickname. Nevertheless, Draco Racing driver scored a pair of podiums to finish up in fourth. Patrick Fliss made his debut in Round 4 at the Road America, which he won. The Slovene Machine then went on to win Round 5 and 6 from Road Atlanta and the Nordschleife. Unfortunately, a real-life injury cut his season short, but Fliss did enough in the races to earn 5th place. Now, let's go ahead and look at the team championship that was a little less dramatic, with Tran and his longtime partner Bastian Hausman clinching the title early for Mama Jean Racing. Burns and Vincent Breen finished second for DBR's Two Stupid Dogs. Num did enough by himself to get Bush Fink Pink that final podium spot. A strong finish moved the AM Racing team of Andrew Leach and Michael Hoplandaisen up 2 spots into fourth. Then Mr. Excitement Liam Quinn and the fan belt Johan Vanderbilt had DBR team talent rounding out the overlay. Now this season is called Season 11, but it is actually will be the 7th in the Skippy and the Formula Neagle format. For Errol Num, it is his 3rd career Formula Neagle championship, winning also in Seasons 7 and 9. Tran just missed earning his 2nd crown, having won his first way back in Season 6. Vincent Brame won the inaugural Formula Neagle campaign, and Johan Hallberg the Season 8 champ. Let's go ahead now and look at the history of the team championship. Yes, it was the first win for Mama Jean Racing, but Tran and Hausman were team champs in Season 6 and 7, racing under the 2B1 banner. Burns and Brim won in Season 5 and again in Season 9 for DBR Two Stupid Dogs. Surprisingly, Bushfink only has 1 crown. That is in Season 8 when Hallberg won the Drivers' Championship. There is some interesting team news, though, however. For the first time, Errol Num has a legitimate partner now, as the Rolling Estonian leaves behind his pink-trimmed Bushfink machine and has paired up with Ricard Allard for Bushfink Yellow. Mama Jean and Two Stupid Dogs are back as before, but it is the pairing of Hoplandaisen and Leach for AM Racing that has could be the sleeper this in Season 11. Now, Adam, all of that takes place before. Today, we're going to go to the place that is known as Laguna Seca. Last time we've been here was back in Season 7.
Yeah, of course, Laguna Seca, if you don't know much about it, well, hey, located a few miles off the coast of Central California, near Monterey and near the famous Pebble Beach golf course. And I imagine, some of those guys from Europe might like to go ahead and shift on down to that golf course here after this race. But of course, the track was built in 1957. It was a regular stop for kart from 1983 all the way until 2004. And they still have the Indy Lights come here, as well as the WeatherTech Sports Car Series. Now, they did at one point make a pitch to take on Formula One. Fortunately, it was not meant to be. And then, of course, we did the track layout's about 2.2 miles, and the elevation change around here is about equal to what you would find in an 18-story building. And you'll see a lot of that elevation change when we start talking about things like the corkscrew coming up here in a little bit. But the best way to get around here, well, hey, let's go ahead and get an idea of that and ride along on the GSRC Skip Barber machine.
Alright, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC Skippy, so let's do a lap around Laguna Seca. Coming up over the crest that is turn 1, you want to let the car drift right to line up the Andretti hairpin. This is probably the best place to get a pass in with its nice, long, straight braking zone. It's got 2 apexes though, so diamond off the middle and just glance that second one. Then, bring the car over the left for turn 3. Not a lot of braking for this corner in a lesser powered car like this, but it's going to be tempting to get on the power too soon, causing it to understeer wide, so don't get greedy. From there, turn 4 is a big lift, and then use the lift throttle oversteer to get the car rotated. The more lined up you are for the exit, the sooner you can get on the gas, which is very important in what is pretty much a momentum car. Now, we approach turn 5, which has a lot of little secrets to finding speed. The camber and compression in this steep uphill climb is going to reward those that figure out how to chuck her in and reapply the power quickly. Up next, you've got the infamous turn 6. Give it a light brush on the brakes, use that lift throttle oversteer, and then slam that gas pedal down. You can see the uphill trudge isn't over, and every ounce of speed is critical to keep from going side by side into the notorious corkscrew. Aim for the brake marker at the crest, throw out the anchor, and get the car settled so you can turn into the first apex. Then pick yourself a reference point and shoot for the blind second apex. Before you know it, you're plunging through rainy curve. Lift and then balance the car on the throttle while trying to glance that late apex. Power down, switch left, and lightly brake to get the car turned into turn 10. There's a lot of banking through here, so carry your speed. Now, the final hairpin is your last best chance for an overtake, so being able to go late on the brakes here will be a valuable skill. If you manage not to overshoot it, it's just a matter of putting it flat to the floor all the way to the line so that you can finish your lap around Laguna Seca.
Amjad Yama behind the wheel, Joe Peak behind the mic, taking us around the dry lake bed, Laguna Seca. Now, Adam, to help new viewers get familiar with Formula Neagle, how about we go over some of the series and event details?
Yeah, if you've never been, or never watched, rather, an Absolute Beginners League race, or a Formula Neagle race for that matter for this series, well, you're getting ready to see quite a show here. And of course, we are running the 11th season, as Soup has mentioned. This is the format they've been running for the last couple of seasons. Skip Barber Formula 2000 machine. There is, for this year, this is round 1 of 8. All these races are on road courses. And just like before, 5 races are going to be 45-minute races, and 3 of them, including the one here today, are going to be 70-minute races. And in this championship, you do not get any dropped races. And you saw what Euro Num had to come back from last season after dropping that race at Watkins Glen, where he finished almost dead last on the field. So as far as the race itself, the setups, they are open. Fuel is going to be held at 55%. Now with the 70-minute race here today, that is going to be we're thinking 2 stops. But if somebody's able to save just enough, they might be able to pull off 1 stop. It's going to be close. We'll talk about that more here in just a minute. Qualifying, we are in the middle of that. It's 3 laps, all by your lonesome out there, and the race is 70 minutes. It is a standing start. The yellows are local only. They do have an instant cap of 24 in this series, and there are no faster pairs. The weather for today, we're looking at a temperature of about 72 degrees with the clear sky that's actually jumping the track temperature up to 104 degrees. So in classic Laguna Seca fashion, that track's going to be pretty slick out there. Winds out of the southwest at about 8 miles an hour.
Yeah, the track will be slick, it's warm, and also Laguna Seca can get a little dusty out there as well. Hey, there are some new things to talk about, and one of them is the point system. So let's go ahead. I'm going to talk about this first part, that they've opened up the scoring now down to 20th, with the fields getting so large. In fact, today we had 56 here. They've decided to spread it down a little bit. It used to only pay down to 15. Now it pays down to 20th. But, Adam, they also have some bonus points this season.
Yeah, they started going to a format here, giving some bonus points out for leading a lap. So, try to get a little bit more guys actually trying to race up front as opposed to, hanging back and saving fuel. And they're also going to be giving bonus points for the fastest lap this year during the race. Now, a large part of that is last year had 8 rounds, and in 6 of those, 8 of those rounds, 6 different drivers set a fastest lap. So they're going to go ahead and try to be able to reward that here a little bit.
Okay, and now, viewers, by popular request, the long-suffering segment called Peaks Podium Picks has been mercifully retired. The producers, however, have replaced it with a new segment we hope you like, that we are calling Number to Know. Now, Adam, today's number to know is 22. Why?
Well, first of all, as far as the podium picks, I came close a few times, just finally on the record about that. All right, so, of course, the reason why we're thinking about 22 is that we're thinking that these guys have to get to lap 22 today to be able to do that one stop. Now, that's a big catch because we think the fuel tank size with the 55% tank is going to get you about 21 laps of fuel. So we might have some people that might have to maybe do a splash and go at the end of this race for their second stop. But who can save fuel? It might be worth it to not have to come back in again if you're able to stretch it to lap 22, and that's today's number to know.
Yeah, so with such a small window at the very end, we could see a splash and go late. We could see a splash and go early, or we could see drivers try to split it up into 3 equal segments, or maybe somebody see if they can stretch it the whole way. One driver, we've been around to watch this enough, Adam, that we know that if anybody's going to be able to do it, is usually the guy to keep an eye on is the guy who's fastest right now in practice time, and that is Tuan Tran.
Yeah, Tuan Tran, as usual, is fast. We saw him save fuel quite a bit last year, get himself into some good positions. So, he's going to be able to do it, especially with a lot of the tracks that these guys run at, a little bit more drafting. Now, here, I think that even Tuan Tran might have a little bit of trouble saving fuel. And another thing to note, you mentioned that Tuan was at the top of the leaderboard for practice. Well, you've got the top 11 cars in practice that were separated by less than a second here today. So, you can save fuel, but you got to realize that it might be at the cost of losing too much ground to the cars in front of you.
And it is so funny. It makes us shake our head. We looked at the 55 car field, I guess somewhere between 50 and 55 racing out here. But it's all the familiar names up on top. Num, Burns, Tran, Hausman, Cocky, Bream. All the same guys we see. Nobody coming in here. No surprise hotshots sneaking into our series this season.
Well, right now we're just waiting to see. I think the cars that are not on track are not going to go, Soup, so we might be safe here to go to the grid.
Yeah, since it's so much, let's go ahead and we're going to call it up a little bit early, about a minute before, but I think this is pretty close to what it's going to be. On the front row, it's going to be Errol Num and David Third Degree Burns, the Roland Estolian sitting on the pole. Tuan Tran and Bastian Hausman on row 2. Pierce Cocky and Vincent Bream in row 3. In row 4 is going to be the fan build, Johan Vandevelde and Liam Quinn. Row 5, Bambi, Neil Bamber sitting in 9th position, and Diego Garcia in 10th.
In 11th position, you'll find Johan Hallberg, Christian Camacha, new gentleman out there. He'll be starting in 12th. And hey, Elliot Meem out there. Good to see Elliot back to feeling better and back racing. Jefferson Padovani is starting the outside of him in row 7. Mihail Hafadazen in row 8. Alongside him will be Joachim Longren, Stuart Mathers, and Adrian Garcia Cruz in row 9. Row 10 is going to belong to Loic Sauer and Joao Valverde.
In the blackjack spot is Wilson Santos. Outside of him is Adam Bradshaw. Making up the next row, Willem De Silva and Zach Renke. Then in the 25th spot, Thomas Kick with Frederick Nektum outside of him. He made his debut last season. He's back again. Hendrix Kamara in 27th position. 28th is Brian Hearing. Next row is Leo Meandra and Andy Moore. Adam?
All right, so looking at 31st position on back, Cedric Gabrat. He'll be starting alongside of Vincent Vanderhayden. Francisco Martins, Ari Sijas starting in row 17. Row 18 is going to belong to Andy Bonar and Richard Colomb. Row 19, Kevin Mills and Guillermo Barros. Row 20, Mark Riddell and Edgar Sanchinelli.
We get a bonus when we get through them all before they go green. Let's try it. Flavio Costa in 41st. Behind him, Michael Kimont, Roger Pritkin, and Tony Matthews. Jackson Dutra and Daryl Bland in 46th position. 47-48, Daryl Kuhn and Gabriel Holavete. Jacob Younger and Fernando Marinelli in the 50th spot. Adam, round it out.
All right, we'll see if we can do this in 51 on the field. William Runland starting alongside him. Jimmy Eifling, Peter Basila out there in 53rd position, row 27. Rodrigo Capoloto Ferre. He had some good runs at the tail end of last year. He'll be starting in 54th position. Arbus Munoz in 55th and Rafael Mata in 56th.
Bonus for the commentators as we got through them all. 56 names on the grid. 52 of them were able to put in qualifying times. Just want to see if those drivers in the backs actually grid up. And a few of them are. We have Rafael Mata gridding up out there. Yeah, I think we got most of them. This is going to be a big one. Let's hope they can keep it clean. We'll do our best to cover the action through as many of the cars as we can. Welcome to the Absolute Beginners. Formula Neagle season number 11 gets underway in just a few moments. The good lucks from all the drivers coming out right now. 56 cars sparkling under the California sun, lined up in two strings. Gather up the chickens, take cover behind the cows. The horses are out of the barn. And leading them down into the first corner for season number 11, it is Errol Num. 2x2 behind him, it's Tran and Burns. Looks like Tran's going to get that spot. Go ahead, Adam.
I was going to say, turn 2, the Andretti hairpin, that's a spot where we've seen lots of trouble over the years in many an open wheel car. And somehow or another, I saw Jefferson Padovani run off course, but I think all the cars made it through there.
So far, so good. Thanks for not dive bombing, guys, is what we're getting from Race Control. Absolutely. Great racing from everybody right now, as it continues to be the same order up front with Num leading the way.
Very, very tight. As we mentioned, the warm-ups, the top 11 cars were all within a second of each other. Hearing something going on in the back of the field, though, trying to figure out what's going on.
Looks like maybe a little contact back there with, a little big kerfuffle going on back there. It involved De Silva, if our director has found the one we're looking at, De Silva and Santos.
They're still piling in back here. We'll have to go take a look in a minute.
And there's De Silva. Boy, they get rolled over. Then it might have been the car that came back out on track. We are back live now.
Okay, I've got to point this out. Somehow, after that wild ride, Williams Martin De Silva is doing his best to wheel this thing around to pit road. That car is still under its own power. It ain't driving straight, but it's still under its own power.
Wait, let's go look at Vanderbilt has had trouble right in front of a whole bunch of people. This was on the main straight. Oh, I think it got clipped coming out of turn 11. Might have got into it with Brame. Then the car was just slow, and they were going left and right all around him.
Yeah, you'd see him. He's almost trying to turn straight right, and it's still going to the left at that point, so something was definitely broken after that contact.
Great job of racing from guys like Cocky and Hallberg and Garcia and Quinn and Bamber, all to stay off of them. Up front, it's a 3-car breakaway right now. Num, Tran, and Burns. Wow, welcome back to season 11. Yeah, a lot of new names, but we've seen this before. And up there, as we're going to focus on the team championship a lot here, what you have, Bush Fink Yellow. Remember, look at that. You see Num in the unfamiliar yellow trimmed car. Usually he races the pink machine. Now we've seen that Hallberg has had... Replay is coming up. Looks like Hallberg has had an issue. Oh, he just got loose. Was that... He didn't hit anything. Was that going up to the hairpin, it looks like?
Yeah, going through maybe turn 6 right there, I believe. And I tell you what, one thing, a guy I want to take a look at real quick, Stuart Mathers, right before that happened, also going through turn 6. He was running in 15th position, car number 46 at the time. You want to see a save and able to keep it on the pavement the entire time. That's something to look at, and happened right behind the Hallberg incident there. And he had that car pointing at probably almost a 90-degree angle relative to the corner. Something going on here. Mikhail Hoffendays shouting out, watch out to everybody.
Oh, there was more
Another
trouble
car
in
off.
11. Yeah, it looks like Bradshaw involved in it. Mimi is off as well. We have a lot of incidents going. We're doing our best to find them all. A lot of action going on back in the back half of the back 30 cars. Look at that slide. We'll see if we can find that one. It was right behind Hausman. Yeah. That was Mikhail Hoffendays who took that car right across in front of everybody. Didn't collect anybody, though. How lucky is... Watch this. How lucky is that? So some big names. Hoffendays has had trouble, and remember we documented that former champion Johan Hallberg has had trouble as well. Those guys have both dropped down. There is a lot of bumping and banging going off in the back. The cars are going off. Too many to actually cover. Pavlovani has gone off. Another car in the wall. We can report it was Diego Garcia has had issues. To be honest, if we covered all the spins right now, that's all we'd be doing. We'd be missing much of the action up front. Let's go ahead and talk about your front runners right now. Errol Num running in first. Tontran in second. Burns in third. Remember, that was a 3-car breakaway, but now able to get back in there is Bastian Hausman.
You know, one person that we do want to mention that just had some trouble out there, Liam Quinn. Liam Quinn is in the pits. Of course, you know, he had a great season last season, but not to be today.
Kuhn and Bradshaw also involved in an issue. A lot of the problems have been happening in 11. That's the kind of a hairpin. It's a real tight left-hander that sets up down the main straight. A lot of people trying to dive in there, and that's where a lot of the carnage has come from. So now it's a 4-car battle up front. And let's go ahead and document the teams, because that's going to be a big part of our Season 11 coverage. That's Bush Fink Yellow out in front with Num, then the Mama Jean car behind him. 2 Stupid Dogs for damage beyond repair. Back there for David Burns, and then another Mama Jean car racing back there and forth. That's Hausman. More trouble. This time Mark Riddick noses it into the wall. And they are falling quick.
Well, right now, up front, it seems like the top 4 have finally been able to separate themselves out just a little bit. Of course, Euro Num up front, followed closely by Tuan Tran. Not a lot of surprise there. And, of course, you got David Burns and Bastian Hausman back there as well. So finally, a little bit of separation. Some of the incidents, the one thing it is serving to do is it's kind of breaking up the field a little bit. We've got a couple of smaller packs out there and 1 or 2 larger ones.
Now we're looking here at this battle for 10th position. This is involving here. This is Hoffendays in this mix. He's the car up in front. The car in the middle, that is a newcomer, Jal Vaverdi. Vaverdi right behind him. That's in the number 22 machine. And we ride on board looking up ahead from Zach Renke. And here comes the move. Now, the Vaverdi gets to the inside. I think he's going to get it done. Hoffendays is going to lose that spot. So the AM Racing driver falls back into 11th position. Give the newcomer up inside the top 10. He races, it says Iberia. I'm just going to make an assumption that I think he's probably from Portugal. I know the first name, João, is so often associated with. Look at this now. Here comes back Hoffendays and fighting back, though, inside the Portuguese driver. Now they try to do it down through the corkscrew, 2x2. Hoffendays are not giving up the ghost here. And I think, no, they fight back. They make contact. They still bang. Hoffendays and gets the worst for wear. Now getting into the mix is Renke. Hoffman-Dason is loose right in front of Renke. Gives him a little assist. Hoffman-Dason into the wall. Renke gets a little nose damage, but he continues. You can only smoke on the Hindenburg so long before something's going to go boom, and that's what happened.
I was just getting ready to say that Renke had jumped up 14 spots from where he finished today, only to get caught up in that accident.
So we covered that action. That was a good one. They were racing up for 10th position. Let's go ahead and document the drivers that are running 5th through 10th right now. We haven't talked about Shortfill. Pierce Cockey running in 5th position. He's got about a second lead over Vincent Brame. Brame is coming. 7th position is Bambi. Neil Bamber racing back there just ahead of another newcomer, Christian Cabanca. There we go. From Christian is racing in number 50 from California driver. And then finally, we talked about the guy racing in 9th. We saw Valverde making his way around Hoffman-Dason. That moves Adrian Garcia Cruz. Now, we don't hear much about Cruz, but he is racing there. Don't be fooled by that white car. We've had some issues with the loading of the paints. It's programs that we are not in control of, so we apologize to the friends and family of Adrian Cruz for racing in the snow machine.
Well, 55 cars on track. I think that gets to be quite a bit, and sometimes things happen. So, that's just kind of a limitation. You brought up you got two guys on your screen right there that I want to talk about: Henrik Camara and Brian Herring. These guys have jumped up quite a bit. Brian Herring is up 16 spots when we started this race, only in 7 laps. Now, some of that helped by some of the incidents, but he's been able to avoid it so far. And Henrik Camara, was one guy that we were really watching the last half of last season, and he was really coming on strong. Well, he's coming on strong today. He started the day in 27th, now up to 13th.
Let's see if we can find Cedric Gabrat. He was racing in 30th position. This is a pretty good hit. He got into Jacob Younger. Let's see if that just happened. We'll go ahead, because this was such a nice T-bone here. In the mood for a steak? Boom.
Another wild ride out of one of these Skip Barber machines.
Hey, how about a pass for the lead? There we go. Tuan Tran gonna.
And Tuan Tran really shut the door on him as they went down the corkscrew too. So that was close.
Again, remember, it's all could be about saving fuel back there. Burns has been running behind them all, burning less fuel. Again, they're trying to get to lap 22. Of course, remember, we're racing for 70 minutes, so that's just our estimate of where 22 will probably be halfway. Look at those 4 cars, though, racing nose to tail. It's a little closer than it is competitive right now because they're kind of well behaved. I think there's a gentleman's agreement there that they're not going to race too hard so early. And Adam, it's not like anyone's going to be able to get out in front and pull away.
No, not really. I mean, we've seen it before that really the only thing that's probably going to break up this pack of 4 here is going to be pit stops. And if somebody has a problem on a pit stop, bad entry, something like that, because it's one of those scenarios where even a couple of hundredths or a couple of tenths of a second can really hurt you once you get back up to speed on track and get separated by, half second, 3/4 of a second, start losing that draft. But while they're in the draft, it's really tough to break away. In fact, right now, I think this is the largest lead that I've seen anybody have right now. Tuan Tran over top of Euro Num. And that gap, of course, quickly closed back down, but that was about as big as I've seen, and they are still not separated at all.
Let's drop back to, I guess it would be 5th position right now, as my timing of scoring is a little bit off. Pierce Cockey. He's kind of teamed up now. Vincent Brame has got there. Those guys might be able to team up and see if they can do a little leapfrogging, see if they can run down Hausman, who's running in 4th position right now. He's got about 4.5 seconds back to the guys that are trying to catch him. Don't be fooled by those numbers that are up there. I think those are 1 off. Cockey running in 5th, Brame in 6th, I believe.
Now, we had Brian Herring, who's running in 13th position just a minute ago, just went off track and disconnected from the session. So, unfortunately, something maybe on his end that looks like it's going to end his day. But he had come up through the field with 15 spots from where he was.
33 cars still racing. Let's call it 32. That tells you about the attrition. If you're a lap down, that means you've ran into some issues. So from 33rd back to 56th have all had some problems. No way the GSRC is going to be able to document all of that, but we got as much as we could. So right now, 33 cars on the lead lap. Let's look for our hard charger right now. I think it could be the driver racing in 30th position.
Yeah, Jimmy Eifling.
He's up. How many spots? At 52 to 30, 22 spots.
And a lot of that's just being clean and staying out of trouble. Everybody else in front of him is falling out. I mean, we got so many big names that have had trouble in this race that it's definitely changed the complexion. But granted, of course, up front we still got the same characters up there, but it's still quite a bit different landscape.
The front four remain the same. The next two remain the same. Let's go document 7th position. They work their way down through the corkscrew. Our leaders going down through there. Let's look back at this newcomer, Christian Cabanca. Now, Cabanca is running up ahead of a veteran, Neil Bamber. In fact, Bamber's going to try to peek inside as they work through the corkscrew. A little bit of blinking on my screen from Christian up there. We ride on board with the newcomer. Now we drop back to Bamber, looking up ahead, seeing if he can find his way around. Bambi racing an 8th. Do we have the team graphic we can put underneath there? Let's see who there he is racing for 2 Power Motorsports for Bamber. And here comes, he's going to try to make a pass, working on the outside. See if he makes this 6th through as they go through the Andretti hairpin. That's kind of hard. That's a hard ask. And it looks like we have some pit stops now starting to happen. None from any of our front runners, though. First car in that might be somewhere in the first window, running in 23rd position, Ludwig Sawyer. I think this is a scheduled pit stop for him. And it might be, we are saying that it might be a bug that maybe he has not made that pit stop. My timing scoring says he was in for, actually, yeah, might be, he's only in for 2.9 seconds, so could easily be an error in my timing and scoring, which wouldn't surprise me as things are working at 100% of maximum capacity. And we see there that Bambi has made a pass up to 7th. And and now Num has got around. What happened is they just worked around the lap car, racing in 33rd position of Eri Sejas. Sejas did a good job of getting out of the way. And now look at this Houseman maybe starting to peak, maybe thinking about getting around Burns a little bit. If fuel means anything, Adam, I would think that Num and Tran are using it up the best. Burns and Houseman for the first 17 minutes of this race has just been falling around in the draft.
Yeah, I want to go back a little bit, 9th, 10th, and 11th positions here. These guys have been going at it tooth and nail for the last almost 2 laps, and there's no saving fuel going on here. They are just trying to do whatever they can to get out in front of each other. Of course, right when we go to it, actually splits up a little bit. Already another pass from Yel Valverde, one of the newer guys, Adrian Garcia Cruz, a newer gentleman as well. Jefferson Padavani, we know. These guys have just been swapping all 3 of those positions here quite constantly and running nose to tail very close to each other.
Look at Padavani trying to find some way around there. The track's just not wide enough for you, Jefferson. He tries to duck down to the inside now. The room opens up a little bit.
He didn't think that the last time going down the corkscrew.
Vivaldi trying to sit right between those 2 cars. Cruz up in front, Padavani behind him. Vivaldi trying to get the spot and still defend at the same time. Stay on this a bit longer. And come right in. Look at that Dougie Beer camera angle, that stationary shot. The car racing there in the green, the primary color car. Yeah, Vivaldi racing right there. Let's go ahead and look at Mathers he's had an issue. Stu lost it. Looks like coming into the corkscrew, he was right in front of Andy Moore. It was actually exiting the corkscrew. Just about getting ready for Rainey. Stu Mathers, his day is done. Oh, he's brought it back out. Stu's come back out. Of course, it says Stewart. He says, don't call me Stewart. That's what my mom calls me. Call me Stu. From a man named Soup, I will go along with that idea. Okay, now we're looking at a guy. This is Vincent van der Heijden. He may have come in. This may be a scheduled stop there in the number 53 machine. But it is in there for a long time. Oh, let's go back up front. Things have broken up a bit.
Yeah, they just had to get around the lap machine of Francisco Martins just a second ago, and Francisco had let them by in the middle of an apex of a corner. I don't think they were quite expecting it to be like that, and it kind of helped break up the pack a little bit.
Another car coming in, pitting just in front of the leaders. Jimmy Eifling coming in. Hey, I remember I gave you that interval. It was about 4.5 seconds from Hausman back to the driver in fifth position, Pierce Cockey. Well, now that interval is down to 2 seconds. Be it traffic or just Cockey and Brame working well together, there's a chance that this can be a 6-car battle here pretty soon. Next up, we'll stay on the leaders here for a minute. Next up is another lap driver of Harbas Munbos. Munhoz is going to have to get out of the way. This time slot, if you're not familiar with it, if you're watching it on tape delay, it's morning in the west coast of the U.S., afternoon on the east coast, and there we go, the Brazilian gets out of the way. Saturday night in Europe, it's a perfect time, unless you're from Australia, that you can pick up drivers from all around the globe. Let me correct myself, a Sunday night, and it is Sunday. Monday morning in Australia.
I was just wondering where they figured out how to get the extra weekend day.
That's coming in the next build.
Ah, I gotcha.
Now you can see, boy. Oh, that's Munoz. Now they have to get around Munoz, the lap car, but Cockey is doing his best to get there. 4 cars out in front. The leaders have been the whole time Num and Tran. Burns and Hausman have run in that order the entire time. And then trying to get there, you're looking at Cockey and Graham. And again, I wish I had my notes. Director, do me a favor. Can we see what club Brame is racing for? There we are. 2 Stupid Dogs. Yes, he is teamed up with David Burns. So that's a nice points day for that team, as they are currently running 3rd and 5th. Mama Jean Racing running 2nd and 4th. And poor Errol Num, he finally gets a partner, Ricard Allard, who is notoriously quick. And Allard is not here today. Roger Pritkin has had some problems, but he's got it back on. He just went over some curving. No real contenders yet, Aaron, to come in, or Adam, to come in for a stop.
No, and I think what they're going to try to do is they're going to stretch this thing as far as they can. At the very least, even if they can't make it to that magical number, a lap 22, they might be thinking, okay, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and shorten up that second pit stop as much as I possibly can, even if it ends up being a splash and go at some point during the second stint.
One thing that all the attrition has helped is the leaders, as they're dealing with traffic, but at least, what do we say, 25, 30 of the cars are now gone. So if there wasn't such attrition going on in the back of the pack, this would have really been a traffic mess here. Look at that. There's a great shot, as you can see them all. As they pull away, you can see that they're trying. There they are, coming at you. We're looking back here, and this is a battle. This is Thomas Kick in a battle with Andy Bonar. They were going through the corkscrew, too wide kick. Out and trying to run down Bonar right now. "27 drivers on the lead lap.
Yeah, that's considering the fact we started this race with 54 cars on the grid to have that many left after 15 laps. Attrition rate's definitely been high here today, but that's not too surprising considering that Laguna Seca, a very slick track, and some of the accidents that we've seen have just been, putting wheels off and losing control and kind of into other cars, which when you have that many cars on track is something we can't really be helped. So Laguna Seca is just tough. If you ever want to race on a greasy track that can also add dirt into the mix, Laguna Seca is the place that you want to be.
We look still on board. We'll see if we can find, as that seems we right up there with the front. We'll see if we can find a battle here farther back. Let's go to 10th right now. This one, we've been watching this before. This thing goes on forever. This is Baverdi right now. Now he's out in front, Pavavani, and look, now the snow machine there of Adrian Cruz has been pushed to the back. Remember, he was out in front for a while. So that battle for 9th continues. And Cruz, there he's popped back in. Remember, there is an incident cap, although I'd be surprised if he got to it this early in the race. Cruz racing out of New York. Padovani from Brazil. And then Baverdi, again, I'm going to make the assumption from Portugal.
You go just behind those guys. You got Henrik Kamara now is having his hands full with Frederick Neptune and also Zach Rankin, who's been able to recover a little bit from his earlier issue. So you got 2-3 car packs right now that are fighting tooth and nail.
And Neptune is going to be able to make that pass on Henrik Kamara. Great pass from Neptune there. Getting that done in the Andretti hairpin. Nice move. We'll stay on this a little while longer. Zach Renke back there watching the whole thing. Third car in line. Now they come up. This corner is fast. 5 does not give me the trouble. We stay on this a little bit longer. Here comes the pass now. Ducking to the inside. Getting this done. That's Renke is going to get it done through 5.
Ooh, he's going for 2 for 1 almost. That is close.
But this is where they got to get it sorted out. This was the one that kills corner number 6. It is so fast. You got to turn it in, keep it off the sand, and then up the hill to the corkscrew. And all that horseplay up front. Oh, I was going to say brought in another driver, but Wilson Santos, the 4th car in line, he's a couple laps down.
That's with these cars, just listening to the engine note going from about turn 6 up to the point to get to the top of the hill before the corkscrew, that's going to be one place where I think as this race goes along, you're really going to have to pay attention to the draft. And the reason being is that those engines right now, these Skip Barber machines, are really having a tough time with that uphill section right there. So if you can use that draft in that area to keep the load off your engine, that's going to help you out a ton.
Let's go to 16th real quick. We'll leave that battle. This is really a hot one. This is more in a battle with Mimi. Oh, in fact, a little bump drafting there from Elliot Mimi. I didn't know you could do that in the skip. He kind of pushes him out of the way, and Mimi's going to head and get that position, move him up to 16th. Can he woe it up? Moore almost gets into the back of him.
That area right there has been one place that Elliott has had some trouble this race. He's put wheels off coming out of turn 2 a couple of times and gotten sideways, but he's recovering from it right now, but he's got to be nervous going through there every time he's close to another vehicle.
As we ride on board with Mimi right now, I'll tell you, there is battling going all through. We'd need quad screens to show you everything that's going on. The most peaceful battle, it's very close, but it's peaceful, is the one up front. They're not doing much. Much more aggressive farther back in the pack. We look at them, they still run in order. Num and Tran, they've been swapping positions. Burns and Hausman have not. They've been holding 3rd and 4th the entire race. Cocky's race to get up to them has kind of stalled a little bit as that interval has gone back to 3 seconds now.
We got to be careful here. They're going to catch a slower lap car, I think, near that turn 6 area. So that could get interesting. Euro Numb taking a long trip through the dirt right there.
Yeah, let's stay on this because these newcomers are new to us and we're not even quite sure what we're getting. In fact, there's a car that's had some damage already. That is Jackson Dutra. He has a no nose on his car. He's going to get some nice airflow to his feet. Maybe can go off the tail of the car that's just going by. Can we get it back? Look back at Burns. If I'm doing the directing, they always hate when I do that. Oh, there you can see it. You can see it right there. There you have. There is no front cone section at all there.
And that vehicle really broke up that battle. It put a lot of distance between Tuan Tran and David Burns. Now David Burns and also Bastian Hausman. Bastian Hausman actually still stuck behind Jackson Dutra's vehicle there as he's just now getting around him.
Use your binocular. You can see some fine heel and toe work there probably from Dutra. So the leaders have worked their way around. Well, we are at lap number 19 now. Did you remember the number to know? 22. The fuelers set they expect this to be a 2-stop race, but apparently they think 1 stop is doable. I do not think it's going to be doable for Numb or Tran. But then again, Adam, we don't know how hard Numb and Tran are racing. Maybe they're racing at 85% right now.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it is going back to that fuel-saving game. I mean, how much fuel are they trying to save right now?
Now here comes former champion Johan Hallberg. Remember he had issues early on in the race. Making a good recovery back through the field. Up to 17th. This got around Miranda. And all you newcomers, we welcome you to come back and drop us a line. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We'll try to get it in the broadcast. Of course, Johan Hallberg, a veteran of the series, doesn't race as much as he used to. But he did pick up a championship, we noted in the pre-race show. And a team championship for one of the spectrum colors of Busch. Pick one, I think it was green, if I remember right. Oh, now if you look at we go to the front runner, something has happened. Tran and Numb, I guess they've been able to knife their way through traffic. Burns and Hausman has fallen back a little bit, unless Adam made Burns and Hausman are thinking we will save some more. And maybe they have plans to go into lap 22.
They did have trouble getting around that lap vehicle of Jackson Dutra. That kind of helped that widen that gap up a lot. But you also got to think too that, like what you mentioned with the fuel saving. Okay, now we've lost the front 2. Now the best thing that we can do is probably go ahead and try to save a little bit of fuel here and see what we can do. But at the same time, if you're going to save that amount of fuel, you might have had to start a while ago because we're already at lap 20.
Yeah. All right, now we see some people coming in as Cruz makes a scheduled stop. He was competitive. As he comes in, he's in there for about 17 seconds. We're seeing.
Yeah, I think he had. I didn't think he'd much too of it, but he did go a little bit wider off track through the corkscrew. I didn't think it was enough to give him a slowdown, but maybe it was.
And of course, we're talking about Errol Numb, our leader. Now, we're watching the replay as well. That was a big slow. That's probably a good place to have to pay it there at least, but he's probably close enough to stay on the back of Tran.
Well, one thing that's going to do, that's going to allow Burns to maybe catch a little bit draft off of him too, and maybe pull him back up there. But the Tuan Tran now pretty decent sized gap.
For the first time,
Cocky in.
Yeah, here we go. So now Cocky His name is Short Phil. We've given him that nickname because he's notorious for, well, short filling the car and having to come in again. I don't think he has to worry about it this time, as I think there's probably one more stop in his future. This is lap 21.
And we're actually still about a minute 45 away from the halfway point time-wise.
But the pit stop takes a little bit of time, and then I guess if you can figure out, make sure you don't have to go that extra lap if you're slow enough not to have to put in a 45th lap. We'll see. Now we'll watch our leaders. We'll tell us Tuan Tran, as he's coming up to pit entrance here. Is he coming in? He's staying out. Num does not. Burns stays out. Houseman does not.
The game is afoot, sir.
Now there is no guarantee the game is afoot that 22 will actually get you there. That's what we've been told. Let's see who else comes in. Bream is in. Bambi has come in. Cocky is going to race, and Cocky has stayed out. Cocky, Short Phil stays out. Oh, it's a split. Verdi comes in.
Valverde just had a close call there. I'm not sure what car was in front of him, went off track in front of him right when he was getting ready to come down pit road, so it might have been a little bit of a scary entry there.
All right, Num is rolling. Falling behind him is the Mama Jean car of Bastian Houseman. They come out in front of Pierce Cocky, racing. I guess Pierce is still shown in 5th position. That's not quite right. Our timing and scoring will catch up here. I want to make sure that these guys weren't able to make their stop and actually hold that position. That could be actually where they came out. I think Num and Houseman were able to come in and only really not lose a spot. All right, the leader is in. As is the man who did not burn up much fuel, David Burns. So they come in. We'll see if we can pick up Errol Num. Num working his way through the corkscrew right now. Tran just pulling into his box. Num now working through Rainey, now coming in to the right-hander. He's going to be going to turn 11. That is the left-hander that sets up down the main straight. Tran is beginning to roll. Num is full song. I think Tran, it is a long pit exit here. It takes a while to get going because you get out, then you have to work through the inside of the Andretti hairpin. Num's not even to the hairpin yet. Tran should be able to get out first. He does. Let's watch Num, though. He's going to be coming out right alongside of David Burns. There's Burns coming out. Remember, Burns was racing in 3rd. But he doesn't have that little Skippy engine revved up yet, and the Num is going to be able to get the momentum and get 2nd position. Burns back to 3rd. Houseman in 4th. Cocky in 5th.
So now you're going to have two tandem pairs up there with the lone guy of Tuan Tran all by his lonesome out front. Might have to try to take advantage of lap vehicles for any kind of draft or anything like that. So now we'll see if having 2 cars in the pack is going to be any advantage of being all by your lonesome at a track like Laguna Seca. We know at places like Spa, where we've been to before, and some Le Mans, where we were at just a couple weeks ago, that would be a hindrance to you. But here it might not be so bad for Tuan Tran.
Tran and Burns, the only front runners to go that extra lap to get to the number to know of 22. There is another driver to keep an eye on, and that's Jefferson Padovani. He also went long as well, and he doesn't have the pace that those guys were running, so it's possible that he might be using less fuel. If you look at Padovani right now, he's racing in 14th position, in there with in a mix with Andy Moore and Hendrik Kamara. Oh, and Hecki turns him. You got to get going there as Moore gets turned around by Padovani. Padovani clearly had places to go. Now again, we're paid to call him like we see him. There's always extenuating circumstances here. We don't know. Maybe Moore got loose, but it didn't look pretty from this angle. But the point is, for Padovani, he may not need those positions. What he needs to be able to do, whoa! Look at Burns working through traffic. And Numb is going, Numb has got that. Now here comes, that's Mills in the mix there. Burns is on the outside behind Numb. Mills trying to get out of the way, does a good job of getting the 452 machine out of there. There goes Hausman through as well. Second, third, and fourth, Numb, Burns, and Hausman. And how far is it to Tuan Tran? 6.8 seconds. Well, let's try to figure out why that could be. Tran was in his pit box for 17.8 seconds compared to Numb, who was in there for almost 3 seconds longer. So was Hausman.
So, does Tuan know something that we don't know about fuel? Did he take less fuel? Is that the reason why his stop was slower?
Yeah, maybe
faster, excuse me.
Yeah, well, maybe he is still planning to two-stop, but maybe he just decided that's the only way I'm going to get away from these guys. Third fastest qualifier, maybe he thinks I'll come in, short fill now, get away from the mess I was in, run some hot laps, come back in and do a splash and go, and win the race that way.
Ooh, Euro, big slide going through turn 2. He's able to get it gathered up and really only lose about a tenth to David Burns, but that was a pretty big slide.
Yeah, I don't want to bore you with the math, ladies and gentlemen, but think of it this way. Tran was in the pits 3 seconds shorter than Numb. So in theory, when they come in for one more stop, he may need to be in there 3 seconds longer. Well, but he's got a 7-second lead, so that's the cushion he needed. Yes, his splash and go might be a little splashier than Numb's and Hausman's, but nevertheless, when you're 7 seconds up, that buys you some options. So let's catch our breath, and we'll run down your top 10 for you. Our leader, Tuan Tran, racing for Mama Jean Racing, out in front by almost 7 seconds. Then you have the 3-car tandem that are dancing right now. This order could change by the time I finish it, but Numb out in front of David Burns, and watching the whole thing like he's been doing the whole race, Mama Jean Racing's other driver, Bastian Hausman. Of course, Numb racing for Bush Fink Yellow, and Burns for Two Stupid Dogs for DVR. Pierce Cockey racing back there in 5th position for Draco Racing. He's got about 10 seconds before he gets back to Burns' partner, Vincent Brame, running in 6th. Then we get to a newcomer, and that is Christian Kabenka. I think he's a privateer racing back there in 7th spot, about 2.5 seconds up on Bambi. Neil Bamber for 2 Power Motorsports back in 8th. He's got about another 10 seconds before he gets to Adrian Garcia Cruz, running in 9th, who has now about an 8-second lead. Look how this is stretched out, Adam, to the Portuguese driver racing for Powerslide Motorsports, Jal Vivardi.
Yeah, he's spread out quite a bit over here over the last couple laps, and those Jal there's just had a fantastic run today, up 10 spots from where he started. Adrian Garcia Cruz, newcomer, and can't forget about I know I'm bouncing around here a little bit for Amjad, but can't think about Zach Reinke in that discussion as well. If we go back just one more spot to 11th, fantastic drive for him, and I believe this is his first race, at least that I've can remember, out of the Absolute Beginners League. So great run today, up 13 spots.
And let's go ahead and go back one more because we have another story to tell. Here's the comeback kid, Johan Hallberg. He just got around Frederick Neptune. So there's the Bush Fink Green racer, up now to 12th. And remember, these points pay down to 20th, so every one of these positions count. Frederick Neptune back in 13th. That might be the closest battle on the track, although I don't think it's going to be a battle much longer, as Hallberg is on his way up the graphics. In fact, let's stay here a minute as they have to negotiate their way around the lap car. That's William Ruland. Ruland does a good job of getting out of the way. And you talked about Renke, Hallberg beginning to run him down. We're not missing anything up front. Pretty much those intervals are all holding station. The top three, Tran out in front, and then Numb, Burns, and Hausman just kind of dancing together. Everybody else separated by 4 or 5 seconds, so we can stay on this battle a little while here. And that's, as expected, Hallberg has left Neptune behind. And now Hallberg beginning to close in on Renke. We ride on board with the former champion. Looks like he's got a little work to do before he gets up there. We can duck back maybe, since he's got a ways to go before he gets up to that spot. How about a little farther back? 14th position. These are some drivers, Adam, we've kept our eye on throughout the race. Hendrik Kamara and Jefferson Padavari.
Of course, Jefferson's had some problems of his own. Hendrik, one thing about Hendrik is he had a great start to this race, and he hasn't really been involved in much in the way. I mean, other than the exception of the very start, which was chaotic the first few laps. So he does have a little bit of damage, but he was still running really good. But here, over the last 15-20 minutes or so, he's really kind of starting to fall off just a little bit, starting to lose some of those positions that he had gained initially. Now, of course, falling back into the clutches of Padovani.
Big name drivers that have found problems. Mikael Hofland-Daisen is out. Liam Quinn is not in the race. Johan Vanderbilt, the Vanbilt, has found trouble as well. Joachim Lundgren have called it a day. Those are the big names that we've come to know covering the series for as long as we have. Padovani makes the pass on Kamara, now moving up to 14th position. Remember, that's another one of those drivers that went that extra lap with Tran and Burns. And the drivers we were looking at, Hallberg has got his way up to Renke and was able to negotiate his way around them. It's going to be a little while before Hallberg gets up any farther, as he's got about 3 seconds to get up to Valverde, racing in 10th. Check back in maybe on our leader here. That gap has gone down a little bit, 6.3 seconds.
What I've been watching here is the lap times. Now that pack of Numb, Burns, and Hausman have been able to get a little bit of momentum behind them, they've started clipping away at Tuan Tran's lead, just a couple of tenths of a second a lap or so, and that's. But, as well as I do, if there's some sort of pit strategy at play, those couple of tenths can make all the difference in the world. So that three now coming together is starting to gain a little bit of ground on Tuan Tran.
We do not know if Tran needs to come in again. We are assuming that all the drivers who pitted on lap 21, Numb and Hausman, all need to come in for one more stop. Tran, Burns, maybe not. All part of the drama at the Absolute Beginner League. Adam will probably have a better idea. We know he went to lap 22 when we get closer to the end, and this could really come down to timing and when you get the white flag lap. If you get it on lap number 44, well, you should be able to go. If you get the white flag on 44, you might not be able. That'll be 45. You might not have enough.
Yeah, and that's one point I was making a little bit ago is at lap 21, when a lot of the guys like Numb, Burns, Hausman, whenever they came in, there was still about I believe at the time about 36:40 left on the clock, rounds about there. When Tuan Tran came in, it was only 34 something. So that he was past halfway time wise. Now, these guys up front, I guess you can kind of think about it like that, because they didn't have as chaotic as what it was back in the pack. So they were still setting pretty good lap times. So it should be pretty comparable between the front half and the back half of the race. And if that's the case, then Tuan Tran should be able to go the rest of the way. And Num and all them, it might come down to seconds whether or not they get the white flag at a certain point or not.
Once again, the guy who was out of the mix total strategy-wise is Pierce Cockey. He's called Short Phil. He's the guy who came in very first. He actually came in on lap 20. He was the first car to pit, so he's certainly got to come in one more time. Oops. Francisco Martins looks like he just put it in from 34th position. Give him a little attention. Now, he was coming up. Andy Bolnar was coming up trying to make him a pass on the inside and kind of scared him, I guess. And so that's...
Yeah, it looked like maybe a wheel off under braking there going into the corkscrew since he was offline a little bit.
19 cars on the lead lap right now. It looks like Elliot Mimi might have just gone a lap down, if I have this right. Here, in fact, Tuan Tran coming up. He just put Mimi down, and this is a back marker's lament here coming up as these poor guys racing back here in 17th, 18th, and 19th. We're talking about Ludwig Sawyer racing in 17th position. He's got about a second and a half back to Andy Bonar. And then a couple more seconds back to Thomas Kick, but boys, you're not going to make it because here comes your race leader behind you. What is important though, Adam, as we kind of make light of the lap traffic, those are 3 cars that Aero Num will not have to deal with.
At least theoretically, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll have to deal with it eventually, yeah. Num does have his issues, though, as Num still has to deal with Mimi and De Silva. Let's go back. Let's watch here, because this is some interesting broadcasting here. Let's go back to Num, and let's see. Sometimes it's not as easy as you think. Well, watch De Silva. He's got to not let just one car by. He's got to be able to let 3 cars by in a train. Let's see how he does here. Oh, he's going to catch him at a good spot. If he goes through turn 11, yeah, this is perfect now. Now he moves over. That's something we don't really preach. We'd rather you keep in the Back Markers United meeting, we'd rather you stay in your racing line. If you have to lift, let him go around you, but that's fine. Let's see if Hausman gets there as well. There you go. Nice job. I'm going to go back and look at 10th position.
Yeah, it looks like Johan Jalberg just made a good move around Valverde going down into the corkscrew. So give 10th place to Johan Jalberg.
Man, he got there fast, too. I really didn't think he was going to get there that quick.
Yeah, his last lap was almost a second fast. Was over a second faster than what Valverde had. So, man is on a tear. So the next spot up from him, 9th position. Let's see here. See if we can find 9th position. He's got about a straightaway on with Adrian Garcia Cruz, so it still might be a while. It's about 7 seconds worth of gap. But if he's putting down lap times like that right now, he'll be there before you know it. That car there was just Stu Mathers. Looks like he just pulled off.
Stu in the pit, and he's calling it a day. Let's go back up to the point leader now, as race leader is about to come up on Thomas Kick. We talked about the bonus points for leading a lap so far, and if I can read my clipboard here, I think it's only gone to 2 drivers, as Tran and Num are the only race leaders. And you know, Adam, with an 8-race season, if you can lead a lap, as there we get the lap is made there on Kick, if you can manage to get yourself a led once every race, that's 8 points. That's a nice chunk of change.
Championships have been won or lost.
Yep.
I mean, if you were Tuan Tran, you'd love to have 8 points back in the bucket, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yes, you would indeed. Another thing we were talking before during the break between seasons is fastest lap 2. That could be something that maybe not set by your race winner, as so often with the draft track. Let's go back, as we had an issue with Ari Caprice. He just got tagged by Pavavani again. Let's see if we can get this one, Director. Padavani has had a busy day. Don't know if this is really... Oh, I think maybe Ari might have been having some issues before Jefferson got there. You can see he goes off. There he is coming down, and then he gets kind of sideswiped and put into the wall. Ari was very much off the pace, though. How about 12th position? Neptune and Renke. To make sure, see if that pass has been made already. I got there a little bit late. Nope, that's the order they've been in. Neptune out in front the whole time. Renke running him down. We ride on board with Zach Renke, newcomer to the series. Frederick Neptune, a veteran. In fact, Neptune is teamed up. I'm going to ask for it again. Can I see the team there, Director? He's teamed up with somebody that is familiar to me. Oh, he's racing for Bushfink Green. He's teamed up with Halberg.
Still watching. Also, keeping my eye on the leaders here for Soup, and the trend is still the same. We're still seeing the guys in the second pack there with Numb, Burns, and Hausman are still a couple tenths a lap each lap faster than your leader, Tuan Tran. So that gap continues to decrease, but it's only a little bit each lap. I mean, if it continues on this trend, they won't catch him in time. So the question becomes fuel. I mean, was 22 the actual magic number like we were thinking? Maybe it was sooner. Maybe these guys have to short fill. Who knows? But got 14 minutes, 40 seconds to go here.
Oh, Tuan Tran scared me there. He took a really wide exit out of 11. I thought he was going to catch the outside wall. Just playing with the commentator. From my angle, this might not look as bad as it was from whatever angle. Man, it looked like he was really off to the right side. Watch as he works through 11. The car got really wide. I thought it was heading into the wall. Gathers it back up.
Now that time, even with his adventure, he actually ended up putting it down a faster lap than Euro Numb right there still.
Now remember, Tran only qualified third. Burns and Numb were both faster. Well, let's do it in the right order. Numb and Burns were both faster. Only by a few tenths of a second. And Adam, that gap, he's been able to maintain it pretty much while he's worked around. As he works around Miranda, he's put him a lap down. He's got around Moonhost, who was a couple laps down. Bonar, he's put a lap down. Kick, Meany, this is the cushion that Tran has between him and Aero Numb in second.
Yeah, and it's like he's catching the lap traffic at the exact right times. Meanwhile, the second group is not. Like Burns and Hausman just had an adventure trying to get around Gabriel Holavate going into turn 6, and it resulted in David Burns taking a trip through the gravel. So, it's just timing right now is everything. Tuan Tran's having luck, the other three are not.
If we look at the traffic that these guys, meanwhile, Numb gets by another guy without any problems. Meanwhile, these guys are really struggling back here. There we go, Numb. Now they get to go.
This is a battle for position, by the way, between Elliot Meme and Thomas Kick that these guys are running into.
Burns is now around, and there comes the purple and black machine. Hausman gets in there. He's going to be stuck. He should be okay. All right, now remember we talked about short fill, Pierce Cockey. He came in on lap 20, well ahead of everybody. We knew he was have to come in one more time. So he comes in now. on lap 36. This should be enough. He should certainly be good to go. How many times have I said that in relationship to Pierce Cockey and been proven a liar? But if he has done the math correct, he should be good to go from here. He's going to come out in 6th. Now, he's coming out right in front of Christian Tabanga, but he was so far out in front that's, even with Tabanga taking one stop, he's still ahead of him. And now Cockey's negotiating. It's tied up behind Santos. So there's the benchmark of all the guys who have pitted twice. I almost think if I'm aero numb, if I know I have to pit one more time, I might want to come in when next time I get into some traffic like that. Tran comes across working lap 37.
Just about 11 minutes on the board, too.
11 minutes to go. And we think that Neptune might have fallen out of orbit, as we're not seeing him right now. Frederick Neptune was running in 12th. And we have it. Was it an incident cap? Does he go? We'll watch right here and we'll just see if he disappears. He's off track and off into the orb cloud for Neptune.
How many more astronomical references do you have?
That's it.
Okay.
I'm done. I don't know where I pulled orb cloud from. I hope that's what it's called. I believe it is called the orb cloud.
Ort.
Ort, thank you. I knew it was. There you go. You never know what you're going to learn here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Get a little racing, get a little science as well.
So I guess that's why they got me around still, huh?
That's it. Hey, let's go up to 2nd. I think we might have somebody getting a little frisky, and this is 3rd degree burns. Might be.
Now, before you go too much on that, Hausman, just a minute ago, the last time I checked on these guys, not even a full lap ago, Hausman was seconds back there. He had to have been like maybe a second and a half, 2 seconds back. So I wonder if something happened. In fact, I don't see a front wing on Euronum's car.
And there goes Burns, and yes, Num is missing his front jewelry. We're gonna see if we can find it.
Oh, he lap 36, going through turn 1, the little kink there. He ran into the cones, and the cones themselves made him lose his front wing. He was trying to get through lap traffic. Now, we've seen it before, that not really a big hindrance sometimes in these Skip Barber cars, but even then, something significant had to have happened because Hausman was able to catch right back up on these guys.
And well, let's go ahead and we can...
Oh, right up in front of them. Yarbus Munoz had a big off. He almost hospital tailed it right back into the pack there, but thankfully he was able to keep it in the gravel.
So yeah, as now that is an interesting plot twist. And what that has done is that's opened up the gap now to 7.5 seconds for Tran back to the guys that are chasing him. It was down to about 6.3. And Burns is now comfortably up in 2nd position. And I'm looking at De Silva. Yes, it looks like William Martins De Silva just had an incident very recently as he was solo spin from him through 6.
Yeah, I think he's out there right now just trying to get some laps back from his earlier trouble.
Yep.
And car meet tire wall is part of your trouble.
He was several laps down. Caught me by surprise. Usually De Silva is a front runner. 14 cars on the lead lap. The last one is Hendrik Kamara. The guy we cannot forget about is Pierce Cockey. He's taken that stop. He's running in 6th position and taking his 2nd stop. about 15 seconds behind Vincent Brim. And now, in fact, if you go back up, we got to go to third place. I think Hausman has just about had enough of sitting behind Errol Num. I don't think I've ever said that words in that order before. As Num is slow and Hausman is really trying to get around because he's lost touch with Burns.
Yeah, something must have happened to Euro Num that we just can't find. You know, when you got this many cars on track, that's certainly possible. And you know, he's losing quite a bit of ground to David Burns, like you mentioned right now. And David Burns, they're still losing ground to him, even though Burns is having to work his way through lap traffic.
Well, here's my idea, though. If I'm Num, and I know that, boy, if we stay on this, this is getting ugly here for a minute. Where is Errol gonna go right now? He's gonna go to the outside. He gets around those two guys. That's Miranda and Sawyer. They do a pretty good job of getting out of the way. That was a battle for position. They're racing for 15th position, and these guys almost touch in the back. Miranda and Sawyer really going at it. Elliott Mimi in that mix as well. That's a nice three-car battle for that spot. Boy, it seems like so long ago that we saw Tran get through those guys. But just to follow up on my point with Num, if there is a splash and go, and he doesn't have a nose cone, iRacing is going to make him put that on. They won't let him come back out. I think the pit stop is probably going to be longer. Now he can't actually pit because it would be so costly. So he's got to see if he can go the distance from here. If he knows he has to come in, he might as well come in now. So at least he can have the benefit of some wingage. All right, here we go, as we see that the cruises come in. He pits on lap 40. Trans leads 7.3 seconds.
One thing I'm noticing with Tran is he's just kind of settled into a pace. He started just running, you know, real low 37s as opposed to 36s. He knows the kind of lead that he has, and he probably knows at this point that he most likely has enough fuel to make it. So, you know, just trying to take it easy out there and bring this thing home.
Let's go back to 15th real quick, and I'll close the chapter on this story we were telling. It looks like Elliott Mimi has got around Miranda and Sawyer, although Miranda and Sawyer are still going at it. We'll check back in on that one throughout the end of this race. Also, we'll maybe try to follow the next guy coming through. It'll be a while, I think, before our 5th place driver, Vincent Bream, gets there. Okay, Kabanka has come in. Pitting from 7th position. Bamber gets by him. We'll see the next driver to go by. Hallberg is also going to get that spot, and so does Valverde. Valverde gets by. And Kabanka finally comes out. He's going to come out. He's still going to come out in 10th position, I believe.
Look at that gap.
Oh, no.
That Burns has now been able to get on Num.
Let's go to 10th position real quick. Let's go to Kabanka as he comes out right in front of a dogfight. There he is again, Mr. Excitement, Jefferson Padavani. Man, he just attracts. Wow, now he's right behind Kabanka, who's still trying to get up to speed. Gives him a little bit of a bump. Hello, coming through. I'm Jefferson Padavani, and I would like 10th position. Christian Kabanka falls back to 11th. And Renke also gives quite. Kabanka is getting kabonked right now. Kabanka is just getting slammed.
And we now have a new Supism.
Okay, Tran out in front by, oh my goodness, 4.6 seconds.
He is slowed down. His last lap was a 38.2. I've been watching him. He hasn't really had any impedance. So he might be trying to save fuel at this point.
Yeah, he's trying to save fuel against somebody that's on the same strategy, and that is Burns. Let's check back in. Numb has fallen back. He must be saving as well as in Houseman. It's going to turn into a how slow can you go type race and still get there. And this is all playing in the hands. If only Pierce Cockey were a little bit closer, he could be making up some time, as he can race full song, as he's made 2 stops. Okay, this is lap number 42 right now. The leader has just gone across. He's working lap 43 with 1:29 left. I think this is the white flag lap.
With Tuan Tran, his last lap time was 39.2. That gap now back to David Burns is now 3 seconds.
Remember, Tran spent some time leading. Burns never led a lap. He was back behind Numb and Tran the whole time. We believe we are on the white flag lap. We're pretty confident about this. Graham had to come in for a splash and dash there.
So now the question becomes, do Burns, Numb, and Houseman, they all pitted a lap earlier than what Tuan Tran did. Do they have enough to finish this lap out? I mean, I hope so, being this close.
Burns stayed out with Tran. Burn and Tran are on the same strategy. Numb and Houseman came in. Yes, that's right. They did come in a lap.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, if anyone should be in trouble, that could be why maybe you can see Numb and Houseman have fallen off the pace.
Yeah, I think Tuan realized how fast Burns was gaining on him and turned back up the wicker, because that gap, the intervals stabilized out quite a bit. He's going around the last corner.
2.7, 2.5, 2.4, 2.3, 2.2. I think he might be out of fuel. 2.2, 2.1. Can he get it accelerated? I guess he has enough fuel. The gap is 2.1 seconds.
Oh, he's got one more lap.
The white flag, he has one more lap to go. He did not get the white flag the last time around. As expected, they have to go 44 laps. The interval, under 2 seconds now.
He's off the track. I have not heard his engine sputter at all.
Remember, Tran spent some time leading. Burns did not. Burns has not burned as much fuel as Tuan Tran. The interval, 1.5 seconds. Both drivers racing with an egg under the throttle. Burns trying so very much. If he can get in the tow, 1 second.
Houseman's out.
Houseman has ran out of fuel, which makes sense, as he was in earlier. Here comes the pass. Tran is sputtering. Burns has gone by. Now the question is, does Burns have enough to get there? There's nothing you got to see. It's all downhill from here, at least this section. Tran has fallen back to say, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to finish right now. We'll stay on Burns. He's working through corner number 10. Now he gets to the final corner number 11. Will he be able to get back on the throttle? He can see this finish line. Give round number 1 of season 11 to David, third degree Burns. He wins the last race of season 10. He wins the first race of season 11. Errol Numb, without any wings, comes across in second. Tuan Tran, he's scooting up. Did he get there? He's there. He got third. Looking for fourth. Houseman is dead in the water. Right next to him is Barros. He might need a little help from Barros. Houseman is stalled. He's worked his way through the hairpin. If memory serves, he's limping. Give me some help, Guilherme. Guilherme says no, but he's gonna get there for fourth. Bastian Houseman makes it. Brem comes across in fifth. Pierce Cocky comes across with a full tank with a full throttle. He's going to be able to do some donuts. He gets 6. Oh, Jefferson Padavani dead in the water right now. Yeah, Padavani was running 8th, and now he has fallen way back. He's going to be the last car on the lead lap, so he does not need to finish to hold that position. We're going to say that it's going to be Kabanga in 7th, Adrian Cruz in 8th, Bambi, Neil Bamber in 9th, and Yal Valverde in 10th. Oh, what a way to start season number 11. This is the Global Sim Racing Channel. We're going to take a short break. Don't go far away because interviews are going to be very important. We'll be back to hear those, run down your complete finishing order, and close up shop. Back in a few. Welcome back to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, the host venue for the opening round of season number 11 of Formula Neagle, powered by the Absolute Beginners. And of course, you're here watching it on Global Sim Racing Channel. let's run down your finishing order. It was a good day for DBR Two Stupid Dogs as David Burns was able to bring that car home with enough fuel for the win. His partner, Vincent Bream, also got a top 5 finish in 5th. Then Errol Num for Bushfink Racing Yellow was able to come in 2nd even without a nose cone. Mama Jean Racing finished 3rd and 4th with Tuan Tran and Bastian Hausman. 6th place went to newcomer Christian Tabanka, and man, he was banged around, but he was able to bring it home well inside the top 10. Adrian Garcia Cruz right behind him. Neil Bamber in the 8th position. 9th and 10th went to Yal Valverde and Pierce Cockey.
Yeah, lots of guys made some pretty big gains with all the trouble from earlier on in the race. Jefferson Padovani had an eventful race himself. He ends up coming home in 11th position. 12th position, Elliot Mimi, 1 lap down, but hey, able to keep all 4 wheels on the car. Ludwig Sauer in 13th, Henry Kamara in 14th position, Zach Reinke in 15th. Both those guys had some pretty good runs earlier on in the race and then kind of faded in the second half. Leo Mirando in 16th, Andy Bonar 17th, Thomas Kick in 18th, Richard Colomb in 19th, and rounding out the points this year, it's going all the way to P20, 20th position, Kevin Mills.
And those are all the cars 1 lap down. Then you get the cars that are 2 laps down and finished out of the points. Edgar Sanginelli, Johan Halberg. Too bad for Halberg. He had worked his way all the way up. We're not sure what happened to the former champion there. Roger Pritkin gets 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Flavio Miranda Costa and Vincent Vanden Heiden. Darren Kuhn in 26th position. 28th and 29th goes to Wilson Santos and Frederick Neptune, who we think left due to a incident cap. Now, let's talk about this guy, Yarbus Munhoz. Why are we going to talk so much about him? He's our big charger, hard charger. 55th to 29th. That is up a total of 24 spots as he finishes inside the top 30. And Jackson Patricio Dutra in 30th position. Adam?
Yeah, so going back to 41st, looking at 41st position, these are all guys that had some trouble at one point or another. Jimmy Eifling coming home 34 laps down, Brandon Herring, Jacob Younger, Cedric Brott. Cedric had a wild ride there, ends up finishing in 44th. Mikhail Hafedazen, 45th. 46th position, Rafael Mata, Mark Riddell in 47th, Diago Garcia at 48th, Liam Quinn. Tough break for Liam Quinn, but look for him to rebound even starting next week. 49th. 50th position, Fernando Marinelli.
Yeah, the big news in that batch there was Hoffland, Dazen, and Quinn. And did you get down to, did we skip some there? Did we go through Eifling and Herring and Younger and Gilbreth?
Oh, yeah.
There? That's all right. Did we do all that? Okay, I got a little bit confused, so I don't know where I am now. I should be reading, I guess, 51st position there. Adam Bradshaw, Daryl Bland, Johan Vanderbilt. There's another bit named Jochen Lundgren back there in 54th. Peter Velosa and Rodrigo Capilero Fiera in 56th. I think we got them all. We might have missed a few, but if you were back there, you probably didn't want your name read anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looked like Johan Vanderbilt wasn't even able to get past lap 1. And Rodrigo Capello Ferrari, even though he had great runs at the tail end of last year, it looked like he wasn't able to make the grid here for today.
All right, well, let's go ahead and talk to our winner. And Adam, feel free to jump in here because I'm sure you have some questions too. I'll go first. And of course, we're talking about DBR's Two Stupid Dogs, David Burns. Congratulations. My goodness, you got your first win. Took you 40 races to get that one. Get your second one on race number 41.
Yeah, I'll just keep this going. Is this a roll now or something? I did not expect that in the slightest.
Okay, fuel. We were on the fuel situation the whole time. We had a segment called Number to Know, and that was lap 22. And you got there. We didn't think that Tran or Hausman were going to be able to go the distance. Were you surprised that they stayed out as well?
Yeah, I knew we were on the cusp.
Let me correct myself. I mean, Hausman and Num. Tran was on the same strategy as you were.
Yeah, when I saw Num going, I thought, I don't think that's enough fuel to get there. So when he started saving, I then started to question whether Toon could make it. And then obviously the second two laps from the end, I thought, no, he's going to run out of fuel. He's definitely going to run out of fuel.
Do you think the advantages they had is that Num and Tran had to share time leading early and you were able to sit back there stealing their fuel?
Yeah, I said that early on. I thought, I'm not sure Heroes Toon going to want to lead too much here. I was really happy in third because I could save a bit going up the hill and before the kink, and I thought this is going to be a benefit come the end of the race.
How close were you?
Well, I literally got round turn 1 after the checkered flag and then started spluttering.
Well, that's how you do it. Very good. Congratulations. And not only that, let's go ahead and talk team here. A good race for your partner as well as Vincent Brame gets 5th.
Yeah, it was a really good result all round. I really just didn't expect it at all because I just thought, no, it's 2 and he's never going to get his fuel wrong, but he did. And I was totally surprised.
Well, congratulations. 2 in a row. Keep it going.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for that.
David Burns, your winner today. Sorry, Adam, I didn't let you in there on that one, but I was having too much fun talking to David. Let's see if we can go here. Let's go ahead and talk with a man. Errol Num, our second place finisher. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, Euro, fantastic run here for today up front once again all day long, as we expect you here in the Absolute Beginners League. But of course, fuel ended up being the big question for today. We asked David how close he was. He told us he was only able to get around turn 1 at the end of the race. How close were you on fuel?
I was fine at the end. I was fine. I still had fuel. And even second turn after the miss, I had fuel. So at the end, it was okay.
At what point did you know that you were going to be able to make it on fuel, or were you pretty confident the entire time?
No, the first stint I totally messed up the lap count, so I thought I had too much fuel. That's why I went for it like 5 laps before the pit stop. But yeah, that was my mistake there.
Well, of course, it looked like you had slowed up at one point, probably about 5 or 6 laps away from the finish, and allowed the likes of Burns and Hausman to get back to you. What exactly happened to you out there?
Yeah, I just checked the laps, and I was a little bit short, so I thought I better save now, and see you later.
All right. Well, hey, Euro, once again, fantastic finish here for today. Next race coming up, of course, we got Barber Motorsports Park, completely different kind of track. Are you going to be looking to have a strong run there?
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty good track. I only raced once there in Skippy, maybe a year ago, but yeah, I hope it's okay.
Well, once again, congratulations on your second place finish, and we'll probably be talking to you next week sometime.
Yeah, thank you.
Errol Num, your 3-time champion and second place finisher today, getting off to a good start in season number 11. All right, we can go ahead now and talk to Mama Jean Bracer here, as Sebastian Hausman, who came in 4th. I say he came in 4th. He didn't cross the finish line with a lot of pace. Bastian, you were able to get it there.
Hey, good evening. Yeah, that was kind of tricky with David Burns coming up behind me. I think I've eaten too much off the season. My car was using too much fuel.
Yeah, we didn't think that Num or Tran would be able to do what they did, as they were leading early on while you and David Burns were sitting back there saving. But you ended up, you had to come in on lap 21, which we said, oh man, that's a long way to go for that last stint.
Yeah, indeed. And I had to catch up Aero first, so I burned a lot of fuel in the beginning of the second stint. So I think that cost most because I did a lot of fuel saving after it.
Well, it's nice as Mama Jean Racing goes 2-3. That's nice. And of course, Burns, it looks like your competition, Burns and Vincent Brame went 1st and 5th. So it looks like season 11 is going to shape up just like season 10 with another great points battle, not only for the drivers, but for the teams as well.
Yeah, indeed. I hope it stays exciting, just as the Drivers' Championship. I'm feeling really confident, so I really want to win a race this season.
Well, congratulations for 4th place here today. Laguna Seca is fun. You got to like this place, don't you?
Yeah, indeed. Especially the corkscrew. It's very tricky. You can lose the car very easy. And yeah, there are other nice corners here, so yeah, I like it.
Yeah, last question for you. With such a large field, and actually, I think you guys got lucky because there was such heavy attrition that it wiped out about 15 to 20 cars. Traffic was a big issue today.
Yeah, indeed. In the first stint, I had some trouble with the back marker, and I had to push really hard to get back to the leading group, but it worked out. So that was great, but indeed a lot of back markers.
Yes, we saw that. Hey, congratulations. Good way to start the season. 4th place.
Yes, thank you very much.
And there you have it. We talked to our 1st place winner, 2nd place driver, and then Bastian Hausman. Adam, good way to start the season, don't you think?
Absolutely, you know, and you can expect probably a pretty large field at Barber here in 2 weeks also, and it's Barber's going to be a different animal with a large field. You know, very, very tight can be there. Sometimes not a lot of passing opportunities, so it's going to be just as exciting here in a couple weeks as well.
Little less of a draft track may play into the advantage of some of the guys who are more skilled. We'd like to thank everybody at the Absolute Beginner League for organizing Formula Neagle and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Thanks to the company's equipment and software that you see on the screen right now that we use on our broadcasts. The original music you've heard today is thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde. See the screen for how to contact them. Adam?
Yeah, next up for Formula Neagle, like we've been talking about, 2 weeks, June 4th, for round 2 from Barber Motorsports Park. We'll be there, and we hope you join us. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including dates and times for all upcoming broadcasts, your best bet is www.globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel.
Finally, on behalf of the man whose voice you just heard, Adam Young, our director, Amjad Yaman, and our camera artist, Dougie Beard, I'd like to thank all of you for watching. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.